maintained. So you guys aren't off the hook. San Miguel County is not off the hook yet. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope that kind of opens up your eyes a little bit as to what's going on out there. What happens is those places are so far away that people don't have a time to go and look at all the roads. So what happens is that people that have power can do what they want, and in this particular condition, they spent thousands of dollars. They misspent thousands of dollars. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Salvador Higgins.
Good afternoon, everybody here. My name is Salvador Higgins. I'm always stuck in the studies over here because I don't got that good education to talk everything in English, but I'll do it in English as much as I can now. I'm a person that I'm a water witcher, and I'm not the best one of all. The best one was in Roy, New Mexico, but he already died. That was the best one from me, but I'm the best one in the part that I am. My dad, Macario Gonzalez, is one of the ones that I can prove here. I wish him the well in Las Manuelitas, and I know that if he go down, farther down, he's going to get more water. That's what I did, the job that I did here. And I've been trying to this city, to help the city, but I'm still here. I haven't moved out of here. I wish I could move out of here because they don't listen to me. In this city, they haven't listened to me, but I have told them. Next month, I'm going to try to bring what came out in the paper about me. That I find a water leak in this city that was for 40 years or more, that water leak. And I was the one to find that water leak. Good thing that they listened that much to me about that. But for the rest of it, they haven't listened to me. So now we have somebody new in the city. I'm going to go talk again one more time over there. Try it again. And start buying water in the city, in the stores. If I had drink this water of the city too much, it get me sick, you know. And worse now that we got this drought. And I know about this too. I know the cabañeras. Those are the ones that show me that we're going to have another dry year. We are already in August today. And I was teach that in the ranch, at rancher, to live like that. That's why I know everything about that. One more thing I want to say. I wish the fracking will not be in the whole world. That's nothing by destroying the world. The air that we breathe, the water that we drink. The agua es la vida, el aire es la vida. Water is the life and the air is the life. But they're going to just end up this world without that. You know? So in this town, I heard a while ago, there is about 30,000 people in this town that we live over here, counting me. If everybody will come to put $1, and I'm going to try one more time, that's it. To get this water going, and from there on, everybody will have the water free in this town. And that might be good water to drink, and there might be more, but I know about one. And that's the last thing I'm going to try in this city, to see if they can do it. Es la única cosa que voy a luchar esta ciudad más. Y si quieren saber más de mí, como les pruebo yo, de 40 años, que hace que esta agua estaba liqueando y lica, yo les enseño cómo. I can show you how is the reason that water was leaking for those many years. We used to come from Trujillo, where I used to live, when I was about 50-some years of age. I don't go stealing to nobody. If I want something, a candy that I like, I go and work for it and buy it. So what do you think I used to do? The dump was by the state policeman in Old Newtown over by KSUA. I used to go pick some of these bottles, have Coke, and come and sell it to buy what I like. And I used to go to that arroyo, that river, washing this bottle, and I used to see this spray coming out the water, that much. But then when they got that leak of that water, was that big, that water leak. Right from the city. See, that's why I know everything that I know. So I don't want to waste more of your time, so that's what I want to tell everybody here. I want to live here. I don't want to go out of here too. I love this stuff, but if I have to, I have to. And your dad got the rich water now there. If he goes down, farther down, it's going to get more water.
Thank you, Mr. Higgins. We have a presentation next on opioid lawsuits. The presenters are New Mexico attorneys Sid Lopez, Tim Chopati. Is that correct? Forgive me.
Not Mr. Chopati, it's Weingarten, Felicia Weingarten.
Okay, Felicia Weingarten. Okay. That's what they had on my agenda. I apologize.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Can everyone hear me okay? I'm going to be working from a PowerPoint. My name is Sid Lopez. I'm an attorney and practices law all over the state. I practice and reside in New Mexico, but I lived with my family, my mother and my stepfather growing up in El Porvenir. My stepfather was a physician who practiced in this community for 15 years, Dr. Cano. And he's no longer with us, but he practiced and served the people of this community for many, many years. Practiced medicine with them up here, and I grew up in this community. I'm aware of the people in this community, and what me and my colleagues would like to present with you to you today is opioid litigation and our problem around this country, but as many of you know, problems here local in this community in San Miguel in New Mexico. 250 million. That is the number of prescriptions that were written every year for opioids in this country. 250 million. In 2014 alone, 7.8 billion hydrocodone pills, 4.9 billion oxycodone pills distributed nationwide. Hydrocodone pills are highly addictive. Oxycodone, anything with opioid is highly addictive, and I'll get into why in a minute. I'm sure any of you know why. I understand there's been some presentations about this, so I'm going to try not to cover ground that you all have been presented it before, but I think it's important to point out, we all know this is a nationwide crisis, but this is a crisis that has been a problem in New Mexico and in this community for over a decade. Nationally, opioid overdose deaths have quadrupled since 1999. This is a national statistic, but I'm going to show you that New Mexico, and in particular San Miguel County and some other neighboring counties, have had much higher than the average national. So we have quadrupling of opioid deaths in 1999. We can assume that the rate in this county, in this community, is higher. The mechanism of addiction, why opioids are addictive. Opioid medications bind to areas of the brain that control pain and emotion. This drives up the feel-good hormone dopamine and gives the patient a feeling of euphoria. As the brain gets used to this feeling, it takes more of this drug, more opioids, to produce a feeling of euphoria, leading to increased use. You become an addict, and you haven't done anything wrong. It's just the way this drug works. The part of your brain that tells you to eat and to drink and to stay alive, and so that you can stay alive, is also the area that is targeted by opioids. Opioid addiction convinces your brain that you need opioids to survive, just as you need water and food. You can't go many days without eating. We can't go long without drinking, because our brain tells us you have to have this to survive. Opioids target that same receptor in the brain. So your mind believes it has to have opioids to survive. Here's some images here of a healthy brain here on the left. This is an addicted brain on the right. You can see the atrophy, how it affects the brain and our function. Here's another image of functional changes. Obviously, the healthy brain on the left, you see significant activity, functional activity. The addicted brain on the right, reduced functional activity. Here's the side views. There is no question that these drugs cause addiction. And the issue now has been is that we, the community, this country, people around this country were sold and told by the manufacturers that it wasn't very addictive. That has changed. We all know now that these are very addictive, and the manufacturers believe that they're very addictive. This is a graph. I'm sorry this doesn't show very well on the projector here, but there's a line running under here. This is the national average going back to 1990. These are the chart on the left. The column on the left is deaths per 100,000. New Mexico is the line above. And earlier when I said that, the national averages, their state averages, and then there's community San Miguel averages. We'll talk about those. But as you can see, New Mexico has long been above the national average. San Miguel County's death rate is the second highest in the state at 43.4 deaths per 100,000, and more than twice the national average of 20 deaths per 100,000. As of 2016, only 5 New Mexico counties of the 33 counties have an opioid treatment facility. My understanding, San Miguel does not have an opioid treatment facility. Yet, for over a decade, San Miguel has suffered the consequences of this opioid epidemic. San Miguel has done a lot to try to battle and fight back this opioid epidemic. There's only so much that the county can do, because when it comes down to it, funds really help fight this battle, and there are limited funds. We'll get into why that is a problem, but we can see that there's community outreach programs by the San Miguel Substance Abuse Coalition. This was a program last year where many in the community were told to turn in their opioids, give them back to the community so that they don't stay on them, so they're not addicted to them. But then there's a problem with addiction treatment. San Miguel County does not have the financial resources to beat the opioid epidemic. Last year, through federal grants and state money, the entire state was allocated $1.73 million to New Mexico to fund the entire state for this opioid epidemic. This is used to cover drug enforcement, treatment centers, Narcan kits, medical professionals, training, and research. That is not very much money for a state that, as we saw, is suffering way higher than the average. And this is being used to treat these resources and spread out all over the state. Last year, the governor, legislature passed the Narcan laws that required pharmacies to give Narcan to people without a prescription, EMTs, officers, police officers, sheriffs to carry Narcan kits to help with somebody who's overdosing. That's great. New Mexico has recognized, and actually New Mexico has been at the forefront of recognizing this problem and trying to battle it. The problem is the funds are just not available. $1.73 million is not enough for this state. It's certainly not enough for this county. This county has had battle and needs battle. Pharmaceutical companies and distributors responsible for this opioid epidemic. We have 17 companies and distributors here that have manufactured and distributed billions of pills, opioid pills around this country, thousands of them in this community, knowing that they were not only highly addicted, but tried to find ways to keep that quiet, to not tell the public, to not tell communities of their highly addictive product. They had a captive market. For a product out in the market, the consumers become addicted to it, and not only do they become addicted to it, but they need to buy more of the product to keep their euphoric feeling. Great business model for pharmaceuticals. People will always have to have their product. This is another graph that I apologize you can't see this in this projector here, but this is the early 90s. You can see the opioid sales, the early 90s, going through the 90s. And we get in here into the 2006-2005 time frame. Opioid sales are spiking, for the most part, have continued to rise. Between 2006 and 2015, opioid sales exceeded $76 billion. That's opioid sales alone. Again, captive market. Create addicts. The addicts need it. They have to have it to survive. The brain tells them you have to have it. Opioid litigation. Purdue Pharma generated $3.1 billion off of OxyContin sales alone in 2010. pled guilty to false marketing in order to pay fines in the amount of $634 million. False marketing, we'll discuss why. As they knew this drug was addictive, they had physicians who they paid to sell and promote their drugs. And they had physicians, and the public message was that there's very little chance for addiction. And if you become addicted, you just get weaned off and everything is fine. Knowing the whole time that that wasn't true, that you have to give more and more, and weaning them off is very tough. In fact, when people are not able to have opioids anymore, and because they're addicted, because their mind is in survival mode, they turn to heroin quite often. And many of the deaths, if they're not opioid related, they are victims, because that's what they are. They're victims who were hooked on opioids and to try to survive, turn to heroin and die from heroin. NC's Therapeutics, in 2017, their CEO, John Kapoor, arrested for conspiracy to bribe practitioners, doctors, and communities, pharmacists, in several states to get them to prescribe fentanyl-based substance nasal spray, which is extremely dangerous and addictive. When you crush up hydrocodone is typically consumed, and that's how it's abused. Oxycodone is broken up, snorted, or injected because they want to give the quick before the feeling right away. What did the pharmaceuticals do? They do fentanyl. It's 100 times more powerful than hydrocodone. And they put it in a nasal spray. So you get immediate euphoria. Extremely addictive, and they push it. And they conspire to bribe practitioners in several states to say, this is a safe product. It's okay. Very little chance of addiction. Now to get the euphoria, the half-life is an hour, whereas before there would be 5 hours. The shorter the half-life, the more chance for addiction. When you do the nasal spray, snort it, you immediately have it. Mexican court reported $4 billion in opioid sales at its annual shareholders meeting just last July. This is a problem that we saw from the graphics in this community since at least 2006, and they're still reporting as of last July, $4 billion in just opioid sales, one company. This is a whistleblower case. This is a Purdue executive that represented to Congress in 2001. Addiction is not common, referring to opioids. Addiction is rare in the pain patient who is properly managed. You know, since that time, opioids have taken 200,000 lives. And we know it's false because it is well settled and well understood that opioids are highly addictive. What would San Miguel County have? What type of claims would they have to bring? In New Mexico, we have New Mexico Unfair Practices Act. And that punishes and makes liable corporations such as pharmaceuticals who sell products that they are misrepresenting the type and the nature of that product. Violation of the New Mexico Controlled Substance Act. Pharmaceutical companies turn their heads and look the other way when their requests for refill orders and production orders were through the roof. They didn't ask, well, wait a minute, why are we selling so many of these? Why would they ask? We saw how much money they were making. Racketeering. They created the problem, the addiction, through misrepresentations, and then turn around and say that their problem is a solution. Because what they would do is they would tell people, practitioners, that people don't get addicted. Any signs you see that may mimic addiction are actually not addiction. You just need to give them more opioids. It's a result of pain. So they created the problem, and then they turn around and use their product to try to treat the problem. Negligence, negligent misrepresentation. Manufacturing these products that they know are highly addictive when they know or should have known that they were being abused, their end users were becoming addicted, finding ways to misuse them and abuse them. Civil conspiracy. There's a lot of evidence that the manufacturers and the distributors sent out a message to the public, to practitioners, doctors that they paid to downplay the side effects, the risk addiction. Fraudulent concealment, strict liability, inherently dangerous product. Manufacturers and distributors should be strictly liable. Those are the type of claims that San Miguel County has and will be able to bring. The damages that are available under these claims. Compensatory damages, including funding for the treatment and rehabilitation centers. We don't want to put these people in prison and throw away the key. They're victims, they're addicts. They were targeted by pharmaceutical companies. We want to treat them. These are people that are sons and daughters, or brothers or sisters, people in this community. They need help. They need to be weaned of this addiction, to get their lives back together. The value of the services that San Miguel provided to its residents in trying to combat this epidemic for the last decade. Under the Unfair Practices Act, you can, if you show certain conduct of knowing or reasonably should have known or willful conduct, you can get trouble damages, punitive damages, for the recklessness, for the willful conduct of knowing that their product was dangerous and addictive, knowing that the product was being abused, knowing that they were manufacturing and selling way too many products, too much of this product, and turning their head and looking the other way while they made profits. Court costs and attorney fees. The litigation team. Mr. David Williston, Ray Vargas, Alicia Weingartner, and myself, we're all from New Mexico. We're all multi-generation from New Mexico. Our families homesteaded. My family homesteaded part of Reserve. My great-grandfather was a sheriff of Reserve, New Mexico. It's the same for every one of the litigation team here. We all have families and children who live in New Mexico in these communities. I know people in this community whose lives have been affected by this awful drug. And we all have, as attorneys, a vested interest in bettering the communities because our clients are part of this community. Our children will grow up and go to school in this community and stay here and work in this community and get back to the community. That's the benefit of New Mexico attorneys representing New Mexico counties. I was born and raised in New Mexico. I had a stepfather here, as you know, that practiced medicine. I have a background in medicine. I worked at Loma Linda University Medical Center out of college. I attended law school in Texas, but moved back after law school to practice here in New Mexico. And I worked for the first 7 years of my 11-year practice for a solo practitioner, medical doctor, lawyer. He was a pathologist and a lawyer. My wife is a nurse. We have 3 children. My wife's father is an emergency medicine physician who has also seen firsthand the problems that these opioids have caused patients. David Williston, and I'll let my colleagues stand up so you can meet them and they can give you a little background about themselves.
Hi, I'm Dave Williston. Grew up in Santa Fe and been practicing law here in New Mexico for approximately 30 years. I graduated from the law school in 1987. Tried a number of cases up north and tried a number of cases before you were judges here. Did defense work for about 20 years. By defense work, I mean where I was defending corporations, involved in FinFEN litigation, some of the other large-scale litigation as a plaintiff's lawyer, which is commonly known as. I've done a number of what's known as a multi-district MDLs, a lot of it on medical devices, hips, knees, etc. So I've only done trials in my practice. I don't do any real estate. I don't do any horses besides my own. I handle property disputes or anything like that. I have a one-trick pony. So I've known Felicia for 32 years. We met when I was still a law student. Felicia was a law student. I've known Ray for the better part of 20 years, and I've been sitting for 10 years.
Good afternoon. I'm Ray Vargas. Like the rest of the team, I'm a native New Mexican. I've been practicing in Albuquerque for about 20 years. I'm a second-generation New Mexico lawyer. My father was a lawyer from Dallas. I got cousins who were lawyers from Dallas, one of whom used to practice here. You might have known on my sister now serves on the New Mexico Court of Appeals as a judge. We are New Mexico lawyers. And I tell you this because I know you're going to hear from a lot of guys from Texas, from Illinois, and lots of places that tell you they're the ones to do this litigation for you. They're the experts. And then you find out you're not their only client. You're not even one of 100 clients. Their job is just to sign up as many as they can. And we're here to tell you, we're New Mexico lawyers. We care about this community. Like they do. All I've done my entire career is complex litigation. I started out on the defense side, defending vet-vet litigation, defending tryptophan litigation, defending nursing home doctors. For the last 12 years, I've only represented people that have been affected by mercenary. And I only litigate my cases. I don't sign people up to settle. I try. I've represented people in this community and all over the state of New Mexico. I've represented various governmental entities. Every 10 years in the state of New Mexico, every 10 years in the state of New Mexico districts, I either represent the legislature itself, which I did in 2001, or I represent legislators with an interest in the district. I've done a lot of governmental entity work. I know the needs. I know what it means to report to a commission like you. And I don't feel concerns. Thank you.
Excuse me, is Andres your father?
Andres is my cousin.
No, it's cousin, okay.
Ray Vargas is my father.
Okay,
He
all right.
passed away.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
No, your family.
all the Vargases are related up there.
Good afternoon, I'm Felicia Weinberger. You wouldn't know that my family's from New Mexico by my last name, but I am the 5th generation of the Gallup family here in New Mexico. On my mother's side, we're the Padilla family. My grandfather was a farmer in Glen and the father of 12 children. My mother is the youngest of the 12, and I am the first in my family to graduate from law school. We have very deep roots here in New Mexico, and we care very much about this state. I am the mother of 2 sons that are both off at college right now, and they're both going to school out of state, so they want to come back here. But we have to give them a reason to come back. We have so many problems in New Mexico we have to solve, and the opioid drug problem is one of the major problems we have. Not only do we want to solve that problem, we want to help the people that are here. And this team of lawyers can do that. We can represent the county and help the county get the funds and the resources here to help their citizens. So thank you very much for your time.
And I'd like to close, and first, thank you for your time, but I'd like to emphasize something that my colleagues have said about multi-district litigation, firms coming from out of state, is we see here that New Mexico has been above average on the injury and the harm that has resulted from this. They've been consistently and persistently above. We know from San Miguel, one of the highest counties in the nation of deaths, opioid use. And we have to emphasize, we cannot emphasize enough that as New Mexico attorneys, our clients, County of San Miguel, and any other county, is our fiduciary duty, our focus to make sure that those counties get the best results. When you have other counties like Dallas County that you represent, Harris County in Houston, or Bexar County in Austin, Texas, Cook County in Chicago, and dozens and dozens and sometimes hundreds of other counties, if and when there is some kind of settlement or verdict or money that is allocated, those attorneys are going to have to decide how much the different counties that their clients are going to get. And would San Miguel fall into the average? They have been above average. I don't think so. I don't think San Miguel deserves that. I don't think San Miguel deserves to get lost in the national averages behind Dallas County and Harris County and Cook County. San Miguel's been dealing with over a decade, twice the national average. We've had twice the pain, twice the suffering, twice the loss. So that's why I would ask that you would consider us as New Mexico attorneys to represent the county and to try to remedy and address this injustice that has happened in this community. Thank you all for your time. If you have any questions, we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. I'm just curious about the RFP, Mr. Manager, we were going to put out. for this particular?
We are still in the process of drafting the RFP. I know I met with Mr. Romero and also with Leslie Vigil. I don't know if she's in the audience. But we are still
Do
working.
we have a date and to have that RFP out with a target date?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my expectation is that we can have the RFP done within the next 7 days, and then have it advertised and more than likely get the responses back to you for our next meeting.
Thank you so much for your hard work, gentlemen.
I did have a question. The Attorney General is also putting forward a lawsuit on behalf of cities and towns in New Mexico along the same lines. What is the difference between what you bring to the table versus the Attorney General's office?
That's a great question, yes, and I would like to point out that is correct. The Attorney General is bringing this litigation, is bringing it on behalf of the state and presumably on behalf of some other counties. And it really works the same way. If you have a county such as Bernalillo County that has lots of people, the argument for that county is going to be, well, we have lots of people, so we should get more proportion of whatever funds there are to distribute. And that the Attorney General has departments that funds have to be committed to and given to, and so there's almost this trickle-down effect to where the smaller, less populated counties don't have the loud or same voice and say, well, wait a minute, what's happening to us now is what I was afraid would happen to us on the national level. We don't want to get this trickle-down effect of what's left is kind of given to us. You want somebody who's going to represent you, who's going to advocate for you as the county and say, wait a minute, let's talk about the statistics here. Let's talk about the harm that's been done to this county as it compares to other counties within the state and to the state. Everyone with the state is going to want their piece of funds that are distributed. As attorneys who represent the San Miguel County, we say, no, where's San Miguel's voice in this?
I have a question. What happens, for example, if we get to represent San Miguel County, what happens with the city? Is the city involved also? How does that work? How do you separate? Because most of the population is in the city limits and the ETZ zone. So, and part of the ETZ belongs to the county, and part of it belongs to the city. So, how do you decipher that? How does that work?
I think some of it is going to depend on the funding and how things have worked between the city and the county here. Those are certainly issues that we can tackle. There's a lot of things that are somewhat unknown going into litigation. Litigation is a dynamic process. So, as we get into the case, there's going to be certain information that we learn that's going to affect how we present the county's claim.
Also, do you use actual people's names and stuff during the process, or how does that work? Do you bring anybody to court to testify, or the actual victims are left out?
Well, the names of the victims would not be disclosed during litigation. We have to comply with HIPAA and things of that nature. But there are going to be certain witnesses that we identify as we go through the litigation. And some of those individuals may want to come and testify and be able to help us present the case. One thing I didn't mention when I was speaking is, for many years I was on the other side of these two gentlemen in these mass litigations, which I've been practicing for 26 years. And for several years we did the tobacco litigation, breast implant litigation, the FedPen litigation, and TriplePen litigation. And what I found when I was working on those cases is you kind of lose sight of your client because you are representing so many people. And that is why I got out of that line of work and opened my own practice. Now we all represent individuals, and we fight for the individuals. And that's what we would be doing here, is fighting for the county and doing our part in making a difference.
And how many counties are you representing right now?
This is the only county that we are requesting representation.
Okay, and how would you work with the county attorney? How, in what fashion would the county attorney assist or be used or by the company or whatever?
And that's one of the beauties of having us represent you. If there are any questions, any communication issues, you talk to us. You talk to the four of us. We would be in constant communication with Mr. Romero. And we would come and report to the board periodically, just as a matter of course, but also when requested. But each one of us is very accessible. You won't be talking to paralegals. You won't be talking to someone trying to figure out, well, which client are you, which state, which litigation. You would be talking directly with us. When we talked about putting this team together to represent the county, we all have certain strengths that we bring to the table. And Mr. Vargas, for example, and I think he addressed this, has worked with counties and governmental entities before, and is very familiar with the reporting.
And what I can tell you about this kind of litigation is the key to these cases is identifying the actual damages that the county has suffered. What money have you spent as a county on healthcare services, on paying for Narcan or emergency response services? And that's the type of thing where we would work directly with the county attorney in identifying areas where the county is actually paying out of pocket to deal with things that were caused by these drugs. And so we would work directly with the county attorney in developing damage models, figuring out where those revenues came from, where they went. And to answer your question about the city, when we get into it, I think what we'll find is that the majority of those services are supplied by the county, not the city. The city is impacted more by, for example, police emergency response services and maybe locking people up in jail. But all the other stuff, that goes out of your budget 90% of the time. And those are the things that we would do to work directly with the county attorney, with the commission, with the county budget officer, figuring out how to get that money back.
Also, when you go into a situation or a case this large, of this magnitude, what are the, do you assess the percentages of a possible loss or a possible win, I guess you could say?
I'll tell you, the thing about this litigation right now, you'll see improvement, it's all over the country. Everybody is all over this, but what they won't tell you is it's fairly novel litigation. This is new stuff. We're turning new territory here, and so we will be assessing it as we go along, telling you, look, here's what's changing, here's what's likely to happen, here's what's unlikely to happen. We don't have a crystal ball. Lawyers can never tell you with any certainty because we're the work of the news. We can assess a lot of pieces of information, a lot of data points, and give you pretty good odds as to what's going to happen. And that's part of our job. That's what we do.
One more question, and then I'll let you go, Mr. Chairman. I have one more question. Do your company has the resources to go against the major companies of that nature? Because I know that that's a big deal. I mean, the resources, have you gone before and got big cases? I mean,
Yeah. Again, this is somewhat uncharted territory. This is kind of like when they started out with tobacco litigation in the 80s and 90s. Nobody knows how hard they're going to fight, and if they decide to fight to the death, they just bankrupt a lot of people. But we'll find that out as we go along. Good question.
And what is the fee?
We do all of our work on a contingency fee. And so it would be a percentage of whatever is recovered on behalf of the county. The costs of the case, which are in addition to attorney's fees, those are costs that our firms would advance on behalf of the county. So filing fees, depositions, expert witnesses, those are all, that's what we do in our practice as plaintiffs' lawyers. Very rarely do you ever have a client that comes to you and says, oh, I have $100,000 sitting in the checking account to pay the cost of this case, or whatever it happens to be. So we are all in a position to be able to advance costs in the litigation and fight it.
And the reason I ask you that is because in one case that I know of that in Albuquerque that we had a personal dealing with, one case alone, the attorney showed me one room, half of this size, almost full of paperwork with one case. And that's why I'm asking.
Water contamination litigation for several years, and the documents took up 2 buildings.
Oh my God.
2 buildings. And I went through every document in that case.
Wow.
You know, and that's just one litigation. That's, they can try to paper us to death, but all that does is challenge the 4 of us to just do that much better with document finance.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Commissioner Padilla, your concern is a legitimate one, which is, can they crush us? You know, we're 4 people from New Mexico. None of us own jet planes. None of us have tall buildings named after ourselves. What you're going to find in this litigation is it gets thrown into the multi-district model, MDL litigation, such as tobacco and some of the other cases. You're going to have various law firms, even within the state of New Mexico, we're going to have to work collaboratively together to get the case moving forward. They're not going to allow, let's say, I don't even know how many counties we have in New Mexico.
33, I'm sorry.
Wow. So I do well in civics. But they're not going to allow 33 different lawyers to ask questions of, I'll use one drug company, Kesson, for example. The judge in this case is going to be a federal judge who's appointed from somewhere in the United States, and he or she is going to say, you're going to have a plaintiff steering committee, and you're going to appoint 3 or 4 lawyers that are really going to take the lead for certain parts of the case, what we call discovery. So it won't be as if Sid and Felicia and Ray and I are showing up at each deposition to ask a series of questions and then have 5, 6, 7, or 800 other lawyers that are lined up to ask the same witness those questions. The documents will likely be put into a national document repository. The documents that we produce on behalf of the city of Las Vegas and the county will also be in a repository, which will be at our office, but will be accessible, obviously, by the defendants. But cases like this require a tremendous amount of coordination amongst both the defense side and the plaintiff side. So there are normally national firms that are doing the bulk of the day-to-day litigation, taking depositions, etc. What I think Ray was trying to impress upon you, and I know Sid and Felicia mentioned also, is if the litigation goes as planned, much like the tobacco litigation, there will come a time when the defendants seek to basically buy their peace. In other words, say, look, we could crush you, but it would politically not be good for us to do so, so we're willing to reach out and come to a compromise. It's what we lawyers call settlement. 98% of all cases settle. That's just a national statistic. You can look at it in any given state. Only 2 cases potentially get to the courthouse steps, and of those 2, probably 70% settle during trial. So any good lawyer who has done litigation the way we have for a living knows that most cases settle. That doesn't mean that you get the case thinking it will settle. You have to prepare it for trial. But you also have to realize the facts that there's a good chance at some point the defense is going to come to you and say, okay, we're willing to put in this amount of money to get basically a pass to get out of this case so that we can continue with the business that we're in. And at that point, that's where it's going to be so important for your county, this county of San Miguel, to have individual representation. Now, I'll just give you a quick example and then I'll sit down. I have done a number of multi-district litigations for prosthetic hips and knees. Well, there's been companies like Zimmer, Johnson & Johnson that have produced these prosthetic devices all across the country, and they've been sued by 5,000 to 25,000 different people. The last one I had on a prosthetic hip, and this is public record, I'm not giving up the settlement, they came in and said, okay, everybody in the country who has this prosthetic hip that failed gets $275,000. My client, who was from Los Alamos, New Mexico, had well over $100,000 and some in medicals trying to get this hip out, had an infection, etc. So they notified us that we were all going to fly back to Chicago to talk about the settlement for the Western region. Why we went to Chicago, I'll never figure out. But in any event, I flew back to a very expensive hotel in Chicago. And they said, okay, guys, here's the settlement. It's $275,000 across the board. If anybody has a problem, raise your hand. Well, I'm in the back of the room with, nobody else, because I only have one client from New Mexico, and I raised my hand and said, well, I don't think that's fair. If I tried this case to a jury in New Mexico, this case would be worth $450,000 to as much as $1 million, based upon what we know about the evidence, the damages, etc. And the guy that was the head of the plaintiff's steering committee said, how many clients do you have? And I said, one. And a couple people snickered in the room, because most of the lawyers that were up there had 100, 200, 300 clients. And it occurred to me that they were settling my client's case for about 50 cents on the dollar or 40 cents on the dollar. But they had 100 cases. So if you settle 100 cases at 50 cents on the dollar, it's like getting full value for 50 cases. And fees for 50 cases at full value. They didn't care what some guy from New Mexico in the back had to say about whether it was a fair settlement or not. And the response to me was, if you don't like it, Mr. Goulston, you are welcome to take these guys on by yourself in federal district court in New Mexico, mano a mano. But just so you know, Mr. Goulston, it will be $900,000 in out-of-pocket costs to go against this defendant. And we're not going to help you. Because if you don't want to play our game, don't expect our help. And so I had to go back to my client and explain to him, I'm not willing to advance $900,000 of my money to get you $450,000 to $1 million. I economically can't afford to do that. So the $275 is on the table. You're welcome to find another lawyer if they want to take them on. And we took the $275,000. When I spoke to Ray and Felicia and Sid, our concern on this case is much like that. Let's just use round numbers. Let's say every state is going to get X dollars on a per capita basis. That chart that Sid showed you shows you that San Miguel County has double the problem, if you will, of the national average. We don't know at this point what your costs are to treat people and take care of this problem relative. But what you don't want is you don't want a law firm from Chicago or California or Texas shoving down your throat what number it is that you're going to accept. And that's the difference, I think, that we bring to the table. I don't own a jet, Ray doesn't own a jet, Felicia doesn't own a jet, and Sid doesn't own a jet. So we're not going to fly in here on a Learjet to do the presentation. We don't work out of 65-story tower in Dallas. We don't have that going forward. I will say this, and I will sit down and have this. Albuquerque has a real problem, in my mind, with billboard lawyers. We see lawyers like Ron Bell, for example. A lot of people think Ron's a great lawyer because he has a lot of billboards, and he has a lot of TV commercials. He can sue me if he wants. He's not. He couldn't find the courthouse with red buttons. No way. And so what I would encourage you to do is ask around. If you knew lawyers in New Mexico, ask about this. Probably most of them, if they do litigation, knows all four of us and knows our reputation. So that's what's important to San Miguel County, is to make sure you hire the right lawyers. So ask them questions, look around. We're on the internet, run our names, find out who we are. I'm sure you all will make an intelligent choice, and we're available to ask any questions, even after we leave. All of our phone numbers, our email addresses, be happy to, feel free to contact us at any point, okay?
One more question, Mr. Chairman, please.
Commissioner Padilla?
One more question. What type of judge would handle this case? Would it be local judges, or
No.
would it be district, or
It'll be a federal district judge that will be appointed.
federal?
Yeah.
I mean, we would first make an effort, though, to keep it in state court. And certainly, I don't want to throw that out the window quite yet, because there are certainly local individuals within the state of New Mexico that were operating
Thank you. Thank you for answering the question.
No, they answered it.
Okay.
We have a copy of this.
They clarified.
copy here for the commissioners.
Any more questions?
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Thank you for driving up. Have a safe trip back. Thank you.
And all of our contact information is on the last page of the presentation. So please feel free, if you think of any questions that you didn't ask, that you want to ask, please pick up the phone. We're happy to answer them for you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll now move into regular order. And at this time, I'd like to thank my Vice Chairman, Commissioner Padilla, for this last year and all the support he gave the commission. I also want to thank this commission for allowing me to serve for this 1 year. Commissioner Padilla and I, we began a tradition 3 years ago to change out the chair so each district is represented. We thought it'd be a nice, healthy way to keep the change going. I have faith in every single one of my colleagues here to serve as chairman and vice chairman. And also, I'd like to say, according to my recollection, there was one item at one meeting that wasn't a unanimous vote for the entire year. And I think that's pretty incredible for a commission to be that united, for it to boil down to one item at one meeting where it wasn't unanimous. So I thank all of you. Thank you for allowing me to serve. And I'll move to item number 1, the election of chairman and vice chairman of the San Miguel County Board of Commissioners. Section 438-10 New Mexico NMSA 1978 requires that at a very first meeting of each year, the county commission select a chairman and a vice chairman. Action requested, select a chairman and vice chairman. I'll stand for any motions.
I make a motion,
A nomination, sir?
a nomination for Chris Nahar.
I'll second that nomination.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Congratulations, Mr.
We
Chairman.
have to open up nominations for
We didn't
vice
vote.
chairman.
We didn't vote. No, we did.
We did, so now he's taking over this meeting.
At this time, I'd like to make a nomination to appoint Janice Varela as vice chairman.
I'll second that.
And then any other nominations?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carried.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your confidence in appointing me as your chairman. I've sat there with Sheriff Gold, sitting for 10 years while I was a sheriff and looked at these, watched these meetings, attended these meetings. And now, having been here a year, didn't realize how difficult it is to be in charge, to be the leader. But having been, like I said, the sheriff for 10 years and the judge for 8 years, one of the things that I found most unusual, everybody asked me, why is it different? And I said, when I was a sheriff, when I made a decision, it was mine. When I was a judge, decisions that I made were final, subject to appeal, of course. But now, I find it different that every time that I want to make a decision, I have to get to these other guys to go along with me. and that's a difference. But thank you for your confidence. I look forward to serving you as a chairman. I promise you that I'll try to do everything in my power to move the county forward. Moving on. First item is the adoption of the open meetings resolution for 2018. Councilor Romero.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, the Open Meetings Act resolution for 2018 is the same resolution which you passed last year and the year before and the year before that. What it does is it gives notice to the world that on the second Tuesday of every month at 2 o'clock, you will be having your meetings. It provides for special meetings, emergency meetings, regular meetings, and following the Open Meetings Act and the Public Records Act. It is statutorily required, and I recommend that we and you pass this resolution.
I so move for approval of the resolution.
Second. Motion made by Commissioner Padilla, second.
Seconded by Chairman Nahad.
Motion passes, motion carries.
We gotta vote
I do
first.
have a
All in
question.
favor, I'm sorry.
I do have a question.
Aye.
I'm
Before the
sorry.
resolution?
Do we have questions after the vote?
No.
Before.
Before? I have a question, and I was reading that, and I know that it says that we're following the Open Meetings Act by law. And what about the notice by newspaper? I noticed it says something, doesn't say in this resolution that we have to file notice by newspaper, but that we may. Is that, am I interpreting that right?
What section are you looking at?
I think it's number 6. Well, it says, for the purposes of the regular meeting described in paragraph 1 of this resolution, notice requirements are met if notice of the date are placed in newspapers, so you can make your notice that way, but it doesn't say anywhere, I don't think, that we have to do a newspaper notice. That's what I was getting at. That we can, but we don't have to, is that right?
My interpretation is that the legislature and the courts look at providing as much notice locally. And the Las Vegas Daily Optic is the primary newspaper for the county. And so it envisions that our notices be placed there. And so I would err on the side of it, even though it's not clear, and you are right, it gives us some options. The safest thing to do and the most practical thing to do is make sure that we do continue advertising our meetings with the optic.
Okay, thank you.
It's also on the website, is that, we also
It's also on the
advertise on the
website.
website.
Motion stands?
Okay.
Second.
Motion to approve,
Yes.
Seconded.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the manager's report. Dr. Martinez?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I have about 5 or 6 items that I would like to discuss. The first one, I received a decision in order from the State of New Mexico Regulation and Licensing Department, Alcohol and Game Division. This is in the matter of Western Refining Retail, application number 993-379. This is a transfer of ownership and location of a dispenser license. Basically, this item involves a liquor license in Romero Beach. I would assume that this is at the gas station. I know this was taken up in January of last year. Mr. Romero does have a copy of the report. I know all of you have a copy of the report, and he will review it, and we'll take it from there. Any questions on the report?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, what I'd like to do is, we can always make the opinion available to anybody who asks for it, but this also involves a matter of potential or pending litigation that I will address more particularly in executive session.
The next item that I have is the legislative capital outlay request. Right now, we are requesting a total of $3.2 million from the legislatures. We've had several meetings. We met with Senator Pete Campos. We've also met with Representative Tomas Salazar. We have a meeting tomorrow, myself, Mr. Morris Madrid, and Mr. Alex Tafoya at the Roundhouse. We have a meeting with Senator Liz Stefanik and Representative Dodge. So we will continue to work with our delegation, and we will keep you posted. And again, we're looking at about a $3.2 million request from the legislature, and we will keep you updated as we move forward. Next item, we have the New Mexico Association of Counties conference coming up. That will be on the week of the 15th. So we have several employees, and we also have commissioners that will be attending the conference. Majority of the activities on the conference will take place on Wednesday, January the 17th, and Thursday, January the 18th. The General Assembly is on the 17th. We also have a scheduled mediation training for county employees. We have a total of 20 county employees that will be going through a 40-hour mediation program. The class will start this Thursday. It will be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So we have 20 employees that will be from 8 to 5 on Thursday, 8 to 5 on Friday, and on Saturday. So I want to thank the employees for giving up their time on a Saturday for professional development. So again, we have 20 employees, and the class will be held here in the chambers. It will be on the 11th, the 12th, and the 13th. And then on the following week, we have Friday the 18th and the 19th. And this is a certification course, and it's to help all of us, all the supervisors and the 20 employees, when we're dealing with conflict or we're dealing with any type of resolution among employees and among people in general, citizens and so forth. So this will be a 40-hour class. But again, I want to thank the employees that are actually giving up their Saturday to attend the training. So that will take place again this Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then next week on the 18th and 19th. I had a meeting with the warden. Where is he? There he is, the warden. He's looking at, there's a model in Mesa County, and we've met with Commissioner Yolbery on this, and he's done some research on this model. So what he plans to do next meeting in February is he will give us a presentation on his findings on the Mesa County model. Okay. We also met with Steve Kopelman from the association, and also Mr. Trujillo. He's the lawyer for the association concerning road abandonment. And I know myself, Morris, Madrid, we had a lengthy conversation with both Steve Kopelman and Mr. Trujillo. So during his presentation, he'll give us an update on what is that process for road abandonment. We are currently going through mid-year budget hearings. We started our budget hearings on Monday. So myself and Miss Melinda Gonzalez, what we do is basically meet with each department, and we look at their budget, and we look at what we need to do to finish off the fiscal year. So we've had several meetings with several departments, and we will continue budget hearings on the 22nd of January. And our meetings usually last all morning from 8:30 to about 12 o'clock. And we will continue to meet with all the departments, and we are also including the volunteer fire departments. We'll be meeting with some of the volunteer fire departments. As a matter of fact, I know Melinda will be meeting with one department this Wednesday. Ethics ordinance. We set up a committee of employees to look at the ethics ordinance, and they had their first meeting, let's see my notes. If I recall, that was Tuesday, correct? Is that the meeting, Tuesday? Well, anyways, they had their first meeting, and what we're looking at, on one hand, you have the ethics ordinance, and then we have another committee revising the personnel ordinance. So what we realize is there's similarities. And so the question is, do we need two documents? Do we need two documents, or can we combine the two and make one? So right now where we're at is the draft has been sent to Mr. Romero for his review. And we also have to send the draft to Ms. Dina Holcomb. She is our union lawyer, so she will also review it. But just based on the meeting that occurred the other day and the information in the ordinance and the personnel ordinance, it looks like we can combine the two. But right now, the next step will be to have legal review the documents.
My only concern with that, Mr. Manager, is when you combine them, is it going to be an ordinance or is it going to be a policy?
It will-
Because there's teeth in the ordinance and there's teeth in policy.
It will be an ordinance.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Let me see what else. I had a meeting with EDC concerning the contract. For the most part, the meeting went very well. We were discussing deliverables. I met with Mr. Mike Adams and the president, Mr. Joel Steinberg. We had a general consensus. We had a general consensus on the deliverables. So right now we are working. We have a draft of the contract, but there were some other issues that came up that we will discuss in executive. And the last item that I have, we met with representatives from YESCO, and this concerns energy efficiency. And so when we discuss energy efficiency, we're basically looking at how the county can reduce utility bills. What can we do to bring the bill, bring it down? So the first thing that these companies look at is a heating and cooling system. And you're looking at the heating and cooling system not only in this building, but any county building, to include fire departments. So the first step in energy efficiency is to look at the heating and cooling system. The second step is to look at electrical, our lighting bill. The third step is to look at where is energy, if it's heat or if it's air conditioning, where's the escape occurring? And most of the time you're looking at windows and you're looking at doors. So I did a little research, and in 2012, the county received a $385,000 loan, and I'm pretty sure this loan came from Finance Authority. And so in 2012, we received a $385,000 loan to replace the HVAC system at the detention center and to replace the windows in this building. So according to the information that I have, we are still paying off on that loan. So the concern that I have and the question that I had with YESCO is that financially, are we prepared to move forward? And my opinion right now, I would say no, because of the financial obligations that we had in the past. With that said, the commission did vote to meet with YESCO and to look at the legalities. So I've asked the company to provide me a written document indicating what is it that they're going to be reviewing. Now, in the meeting, they mentioned the fire departments, and that could be an issue because if you look at, we have 12 fire districts in the county. Most of our fire districts have substations. So if we're including all the fire stations and the substations, and we just focus on heating and cooling, it could be a substantial amount of money. But again, I'm waiting for the legal documents from the YESCO company. Now, in this meeting, we also had Don Kreider was involved, and also Melinda was involved. So the next step is for the company to provide those legal documents so that we can move forward.
If I can speak to that, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
It's my understanding that this is a no-cost audit to audit the county, all the county buildings, and say, this is where we think you're saving, this is where you probably could say, this is where we're wasting, at no obligation and no cost. During the presentation that YESCO was here and in my conversation with them.
The issue the concern is when they call it an audit, but it's basically an evaluation. And the question that I asked was, what if it's negative or what if it's positive? And since they are a for-profit organization, so I would make the assumption that it's going to be a positive evaluation because of some of our heating and cooling systems are old. Now, once they conduct the evaluation and we have the document, my concern is who owns that document? Does the county own that document? In other words, when they do the free audit, here's the report. Do we own that? And that's the question they could not answer. Because if they indicated a free audit, fine. But once they've concluded, do we own that document? In other words, can we get that document and say, okay, well, we can do this internally. Some of this we can do internally on our own through maintenance. We can do this. But again, who owns the document? And that still needs to be.
We could always do things internally, Mr. Manager. My concern would be, are we losing energy unwisely? Should we? And once you get the audit, then you'll know what the answer is, yes or no, period. And you're not obligated to move ahead with YESCO.
Correct.
Am I correct? My recollection of the action taken by the commission was to allow them to do the audit based on solar's procurement. Is it following procurement? And that was the action that was taken, not whether or not who's going to own the document. The action by the commission was to allow them to do the audit at no obligation and no cost if it passed procurement muster by our attorney.
Maybe I'm mistaken.
Exactly, that was my recollection, excuse me, but my recollection was that we would approve it pending what our Confer decided. Is that correct? Did you meet with them, Confer?
Mr. Chairman and the members of the board, what we did was I did meet with staff and we talked about the presentation and the concerns. And some of the concerns were, where does this request, is it really free or is there a cost involved at the end? I'm cynical, so I don't believe anything's for free, that there will be a cost. If there is a cost, then the idea of the project, where does the idea of the whole audit project fit in with all the other expenditures you have, and is it a priority or not? If it is a priority, then how are we going to look at this particular company, or is it going to be bid out to other competing companies depending upon the cost? And so the committee met with YESCO, but these are some of the preliminary reports, I think, back to you about what that committee did. I have not given, my understanding of the instruction was that we would look at doing this pending the attorney's approval. And my concern was also not only the procurement, but whether or not there was a cost involved. What does the contract say? Our manager is asking for the contract to see if there's actually, or what the bottom line language is as to whether or not there's cost.
And that's what I understood. No cost, no obligation, audit, pending they didn't violate procurement. That's my recollection, but I can't open up the minutes here, so I can't see.
All right, and my recommendation would be also that they provide references. What else are they doing business with? If they can provide that and you can check the references, then you have some kind of direction, I would think.
Yeah, I understand that the Rio Arriba County attorney who's doing business with them also was referred to you as a reference. Councilman?
He has not contacted me, or
okay.
So I don't know anything about that. I do know that in their package they talked about having clients such as West Las Vegas schools, maybe Luna, maybe some other Espanola surrounding areas. But my thought was your instructions were is this really free? And I'm saying, as soon as we get the legal documents, I can tell you if it's free or not.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, have we ever looked at, P&M does a pre-evaluation for free, no? Have we ever even looked at P&M coming down and kind of letting us know if we're wasting too much energy for some reason or other, where we can improve? And we don't have to do a total evaluation and then end up, like you said, with a report that we might not have access to.
Correct.
And then if we don't have access to the report, they might want to sell us the report.
Correct.
Then we pay for the report, and then we might be obligated to do other repairs or conditions that we might not agree with at that time. So I agree with you in that, Mr. Martinez, that we need to make sure that who owns the report. That's very important, because if we own the report, then we can do our own repairs if we can. But we're not committed to do anything immediately
Correct.
on this budget year. So I agree with that we need to check into that.
Ms. Kreider, have we had any contact with P&M?
Commissioners? No, but the only contact we've had with other companies that offer the same thing is Train, who runs our HVAC systems now, offer the same kind of service as far as the free audit and the ongoing process and saving energy costs and all that. So I think we discussed that if we were to go forward, this would be wise to have conversations with them as well.
I think what we need to do, Mr. Chairman, is get an opinion from the Association of Counties. I'm sure someone else has already done that, and then we'll find out exactly how it works.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may, because I forgot to relay this information to our attorney, Dave Romero, but toward the end of the meeting, they did indicate that Don Trujillo, who is the Rio Arriba County attorney, had thoroughly looked at the contract and that you could contact him just to kind of talk about it, but I did not share that information with you, so just to let you know.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, that concludes my report. At this time, I stand for any questions.
Your question for County Manager? Right, this was an item for informational purposes only.
Thank you.
Moving to item number 4, this is an informational purposes only item, update on the San Miguel County Hospital. Commissioner Livari?
Yeah, I just wanted to update the former commission wanted me to look into the possibility of building a county hospital. We've had several meetings. The last forum was held here in this chamber. 90% of the folks that came to speak on the record supported a county hospital. Also, we've identified over 900 homes in the San Miguel area that have had liens on them from Alta Vista Hospital. We've looked at over 900 homes that have liens on them. We looked at the contract that Sandoval County has with Presbyterian Hospital, which is a private New Mexico hospital, and also with Rio Arriba County. I've also asked Dave Romero to get to find out from the association what Rio Arriba did and Sandoval County did, and what the next steps would be. It's my understanding that also Mora County said that they would certainly get on board with San Miguel County should we decide to put a mill levy on the ballot. But Mr. Counselor, have you heard back from the association about next steps?
No, Mr. Chairman or Commissioner, my investigation or research is still starting, and I haven't gotten to the point where you would want me to be in.
Okay, thank you. Also, Alta Vista has also been listed as one of the highest hospital rates in the state of New Mexico. And that's the information that I've gathered so far. I'd be more than happy to share those contracts with Rio Arriba and Sandoval County, with the rest of the commission. and any other information that you would like to have.
Got it. Commissioner? Any questions for Commissioner?
Yeah, the only question I have is all this information from the meeting documented? Do we have records? Because I'd like to see all the reports and stuff to see where we're headed, no?
Yeah, well, this last one here in the commissioner meeting was filmed, was recorded, so that's all recorded in the sign-in sheets of the managers.
Is that accessible to the county commissioners?
Yes, you can see it on YouTube. Diego can tell you how to get to it. The manager has the sign-in sheets. I also have sign-in sheets from the other meetings we had at Highlands with contact information and the notes from those meetings, so I'm more than happy to share with all of you. And the documents that I was talking about with the liens, and also the report for the highest hospitalization rates. I'll put a package together and make sure every single one of you get one.
Yeah, because I don't have any information as far as documentation or anything that's going on.
Okay.
So I'd like to get some information just to see where we're headed.
Thank you for your interest.
The administrator for the Alta Vista Regional Hospital is here, sir. Would you like to address some of these concerns? Or would you like to address the commission at this point? Do you have anything to offer?
I'm coming from call, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear all.
I said that you're the new administrator for the hospital, is that correct? Is there anything that you would like to add to this?
You know, I would add, certainly I've been able to meet with Rock, and I appreciate you taking some time. I've been here for a short 5 months so far, and you know, our goal is to work collaboratively with the county where we can, provide these services here. You know, I certainly represent the company and what's happened in the past. I don't know the past history of all that's taken place, but in the short time that I've been here, we've been able to get a lead back open, which was a community need. We've been able to require 24/7 surgeons in-house, which was a need, that was resulting in transfers. So my goal is just to continue to bring good services to the hospital. I'm not a politician, and certainly respect what you guys do, but my interest is in taking care of sick people and doing it with integrity. And so, you know, the reports on any highest hospitalization rates, I don't want to get a copy of that. I haven't been able to see that. We do require patients to pay their portions of their bill, as I suppose a county hospital would as well. And over the course of time, like any business, we put those off to collection agencies as part of doing business. And so I'm not aware of things on phones, but I'd like to look into that as well. But we want to continue to be a good partner for the community and the county. And sorry, what I'm here to say about it.
What is your name, sir?
I'm sorry, Caleb O'Reilly.
Thank you, Caleb. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman?
Okay, is that it?
We've met before and we've talked about things, and there's no reason why Alta Vista, it's just difficult for a private corporation who owns the building to get into an agreement with the county. And we've discussed it, and he's taken some of my concerns back to corporate office, and we're still going to meet again. I believe we have a meeting coming up here that Joel was setting up to discuss certain things, and hopefully this can be resolved. You know, some of our concerns and our community concerns can be resolved with Alta Vista.
And just for informational purposes also, that since we first did the resolution back probably almost a year ago, that I noticed that they have filled some of those appointments to meet the medical needs of the community. So there has been some improvement that I've seen. Thank you for that.
Yeah, if I could respond on into that, and I agree to come to the city, just to give you an indication of the company's support. I agreed to come, and they told me that one of the priorities was to reopen OB and make that viable product line for this community. And most people know that in the hospital business, OB is not a profitable business line. So when I was talking to the company, I said, you know, I want to commit that if I go there to open OB, that we're going to keep it open. We're not going to ever shut it down again. And they said, you know, for many of our hospitals, OB isn't a viable product line, but for you and for Las Vegas, it's a critical service. It's a critical access point for moms and families here. And you'll be able to keep it open, whether you deliver one baby a year or 1,000 babies.
So I think that the corporation's committed to doing what's right for the community. We just got to figure out how to work better together.
Thank you, appreciate it. Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Item number 5, appointment of a voting member or alternate for the NMAC multi-line pool. Dr. Martinez.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I received information from the New Mexico Association of Counties, and I don't know if you have this on your computer. There's a list of voting members. So each county has to, let's see, let me look at this. There has to be a representative and an alternate from each county. So what we need to do in San Miguel County is we have to appoint a representative and an alternate to the multi-line pool. Now keep in mind, these are voting members, and their meeting will take place on January the 16th at 8 o'clock in Santa Fe during the conference.
This isn't an election? I thought this was an election and not an appointment, where all elected officials can vote for a commissioner to run for this seat, like Janice did last year, and then the sheriff's office, the county clerk's office, everyone voted for. Is it the same thing, or is that a different seat?
This is a different.
Oh, is it different?
Yeah.
Okay.
What
I
is
was
the committee
confused
that
then.
you're on, Commissioner?
Yeah,
Barrera?
I'm the representative for the Association of Counties. I'm the board of directors.
Okay.
Board of
All
This
right.
is the multi-line pool, I believe. Is that dealing with insurance, multi-line pool?
Correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's just something, I didn't realize that we didn't have anybody representing us in
I'm
the
supposed to
county.
be on that board.
You're supposed to be up there?
Oh, you're supposed to be.
You're the same thing. I know, we'll put you in the yellow.
So at
Okay.
this time, I'm requesting a representative and an alternate.
Will you be there on the 16th, Commissioner Padilla, at 8 o'clock a.m. to vote?
Yeah, I was an alternate,
You were an alternate?
because I think the county manager was the
Oh,
actual
okay.
voting person, and I was an alternate in case he couldn't show up. So I'm not sure, we need to appoint somebody that's the actual voting member and then the alternate. I was the alternate.
Actually, there's a vacancy right there. We don't have a representative from San Miguel County according to
Don't
this,
have anybody.
Correct.
according to the list.
So I nominate the manager.
Second. Commissioner Olivares has nominated a county manager. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Motion passes.
Now the alternate.
And for motion for an alternate?
We have a motion for Commissioner Padilla by Martinez. So she whispers, so you have to be very keen.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All against? Motion carried. Alternate is Commissioner Padilla.
Miss Eileen Cedillo, can you notify the association that, who is the voting representative and the alternate? Thank you.
All right. Moving on to item number 6, approval of engineering services as needed, Sauter Miller and Associates, background information. On December 12, 2017, county staff was given authorization to enter into contract negotiations with Sauter Miller and Associates for engineering services as needed. Mr. Tapoya.
Good afternoon. At the last county commission meeting, county staff was given direction to enter into, or authorization rather, to enter into contract negotiations with Sauter Miller and Associates for engineering services as needed. And although our request today is to approve the agreement for engineering services as needed, county staff is still negotiating the contract with Sauter Miller and Associates, and county staff is of the opinion that the rate schedule proposed by Sauter Miller and Associates is too high. The state procurement code allows for competitive negotiations, and we would like to receive Sauter Miller and Associates' best and final offer. We don't think we've received that yet. And we would like to have adequate time to review the best and final offers so that county staff can determine if the best and final offer is in the best interest of the county. Morris Madrid and myself have discussed this with the county manager, and we would like to request that this item be tabled until the February commission meeting. Also, the individual at Sauter Miller and Associates is, I guess, off this week and part of next week, so we're not able to continue our discussions with him until he returns. So we would like to be able to do that, and then we would bring this item back at the February commission meeting.
Motion to table till February?
Yes, please.
The children.
Oh, sorry.
Ask for questions.
Yes, to ask for the question, sorry.
That's okay, we're all new to this. We're all new to this. We'll
I'm
get
not gonna
it.
sit in the middle that way.
Anyway,
You can hear us.
Mr. Tafoya has requested that we the table this issue of approving Sauter Miller as our for our engineering services until the February meeting. Motion to approve that we table it until February.
Motion to table?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Varela, seconded by Commissioner Padilla. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion
Thank you.
carries. Item number 7, approval of engineering services as needed, Miller Engineering. Mr. Tafoya.
Yes, also at the January commission meeting, authorization was given to county staff to enter into contract negotiations with Miller Engineering Consultants for engineering services as needed. And we are asking the Board of County Commissioners to approve the agreement as submitted between the county and Miller Engineering Consultants.
Motion to approve Miller Engineering.
So move.
Moved by Mr.
Second.
Padilla, second by Commissioner Martinez. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Huh? Mr. Padilla, I'm sorry. Oh, I thought it was you, I'm sorry. Item number 8, the annual county commission inspection of detention center, action requested, information purposes only. Warden Elwell.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Commissioners. This February, at the end of February, February 27th, at 9 a.m., we will have a special commission meeting so that you meet the requirements of State Statute 33-3.
I'm sorry, what date was that?
February 27th.
27th?
Yes.
27th?
And it'll be at 9 a.m., and we will notify the public ahead of time for this as well. But just wanted to get it on your radar so that you can plan your schedules for that. This annual inspection by the County Commission actually is statutorily required by 33-3-4 so that you can actually look at the living conditions of the jail and really get your knowledge of reports. During the session, we will go over all the annual statistics of 2017 as they have to do with the jail, specifically arrest data, charge data, recidivism rates, and then give you a little bit of where we've been and where we want to go at the detention center. So I look forward to all of you being there with us that day, and we will also feed you lunch. So plan on doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. February 27th at 9 a.m. Item number 8, no, I'm sorry, that was number 8. Item number 9, approval to accept the most qualified bidder for electrical services. Ms. Kreider.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, County Manager, Attorney, and Ms. Gonzalez. We are looking to provide electrical services to San Miguel County. We have 3 individuals that did respond and meet all the requirements. That would be Apex Solutions, Electric Horseman, and EGB Electric. We would like you to, we're requesting that you approve the contract to all 3 of these electrical companies in that order.
request for approval of electrical services. The electric, I'm sorry, which company were we talking about?
There's three of them, sir. There's Apex Solutions, Electric Horseman, and there's EGB Electric.
Okay, all three of them.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Motion to approve a contract with PIC Solutions, the Electric Horseman, and EGB Electrical.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Varela. Second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Padilla. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item number 10, approval to accept most qualified bid for pest control services. Again, Ms. Kreider.
Vegan. We would like to request the services for pest control to be contracted to Elite Pest Control. They've met all the requirements, and they were the only ones to respond.
Motion to approve pest control services, Elite Pest Control. I have a motion to accept.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Martinez,
Second.
second by Commissioner Varela. All in favor?
Mr. Chairman, I'll abstain on the voting myself, but they're related to me, the
They're
company.
related?
No personal interest, but they are related.
All in favor with one abstention? Vote yes, motion carries. Item number 11, approval for the most qualified bid for plumbing services, recommending JCG Plumbing. Also, right.
And still be. Provide plumbing services to San Miguel County, and requesting to approve a contract for JCG Plumbing. They also were the only ones to respond.
I'll make it better.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Padilla.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Martinez. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item number 12, out-of-state travel for Sapeo Volunteer Fire Department, Erica Larson and Scott Hooker Hughes to attend January 2018 Industrial Annual Conference located at Texas A&M campus in College Station, Texas. Dr. Martinez.
San Miguel County Fire is requesting authorization for Sapeo Rociada volunteer firefighters to attend the January 2018 Tex Industrial Annual Fire School. I had the opportunity to meet with Chief Canuse, and he indicated to me that he has the money in his budget. So at this time, I'm requesting approval for Mr. Erica Larson and Scott Hughes to attend the academy.
Out of curiosity, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Out of curiosity, Mr. Manager, what does it cost?
Good question. I know Gina is in the audience.
Gina,
is
could you
there a-
answer that
is-
question for us, please?
Good afternoon, Chairman, Commissioners. At this point in time, TEACS is actually going to be free of charge to San Miguel County volunteer firefighters, as they are going to be attending, travel included at no cost,
Flights?
flights and everything.
So I guess he had it in his budget, didn't he, Mr. Manager?
It is a reimbursement, correct?
No, sir. From what I understand, TEACS has already paid for the flights for Ms. Larson and Mr. Hoover Hughes to attend TEACS.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'll clarify with Fire Chief Canuse. Canusen. Thank you.
Okay. Motion to approve out-of-state travel for
So moved,
firefighters
Mr.
Erica
Chairman.
Larson and
Second.
Scott Hooker Hughes. Motion by Commissioner Padilla, second by Commissioner Olivari. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 13 was tabled. Okay. Item number 14, Public Works Division Report for December 2017. Mr. Lopez.
Before we get to the regular report, congratulations, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much.
Commission. As you all know, we had a legislative brunch in our office a while back, and I wanted to take a couple of minutes to acknowledge Stephanie Ledger and Samantha Sandoval for the coordination that they did, and to inform the public that this was paid for by our department heads entirely. There was not a single tax dollar used. We got contributions from some commissioners also, and we appreciate that. And I think that the manager will also agree that the legislators that attended appreciated the approach that we took and have shown that in the subsequent meetings that we've had with them. As you said, we have a couple more tomorrow. But what I'm finding, as I'm not a new employee anymore, but I've been following this whole process for many years, there's a term that we used to use at DFA called institutional integrity. And I think San Miguel County's chances for funding are very good, mainly because of that, because of the work that people like Melinda and Alex and Eileen and everyone does here at the county. That's a very, very important factor. And if you don't have the trust, for example, San Miguel County has no capital outlay projects that have been unspent, that have been undone. That's a big deal now, with all the unspent money in Santa Fe. So I just wanted to acknowledge everyone that was involved in that effort. It continues, and I really believe it's going to be successful. I really do. Going on to what our manager said regarding our discussion with Steve Kopelman and Mr. Trujillo about road abandonment, just to highlight a few of the points, as Commissioner Padilla said earlier in our earlier meetings, almost every time that they were aware of also, that process is initiated by the public. And the reason for that is because abandonment is a shift of burden. So in one way, the burden is placed upon the county by the public when we adopt a road. The abandonment is the opposite. We may be placing a burden on private citizens that they don't want. That's the part where the attorney and the consultant from the Association of Counties says, be careful. Be careful how you do it. Consult with your attorney. The process is the same, but in reverse. Although it's initiated by the public, you still have to have a road viewing. It still needs to be approved by the commission. There has to be a due process involved. There's no opposition to that. It's our job to administer the rules the way that they are intended to be and accommodate the public in any way we can. I think we've had one inquiry. We don't have any official requests yet, but we need to make sure that we have this process defined and properly documented by the county administration before we proceed. But we are ready to proceed. So any inquiries that we do get, we will follow the process and we will make that accommodation and we will report to you. Naturally, it'll be on the agenda. That was really the bottom line from the attorney's point of view, was just be careful when you proceed. And they're available, as our attorney is, to consult in any of the processes. So we're comfortable that any initiation of action that we do take will be within all the laws and regulations that apply. So that's my administrative part of the report.
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank you very much.
Question?
Question from Commissioner Olivari, please.
So it has to, an abandonment has to be brought by an individual, just like an adoption?
It should be, yes, and the process is the same. There's a viewing, there's a voting, there's an evaluation.
So the county can't initiate the,
From our initial conversation, it seems as the county can,
okay,
but that's the be careful part. Because
Okay.
if the residents don't agree, then they can fight it saying, you know what, I don't want this burden. It's kind of,
I'm just thinking about Manuel Garcia's case, where he's been coming up here, and obviously he's never wanted it, and I'm curious about the process that happened in his case.
Right.
Where it was abandoned against apparently his will,
and that could very well be for very good reason. And even though someone may fight it, it may be the right thing to do. The emphasis is that the process maintains integrity. That's the main thing.
Also,
But I haven't heard anything that the body, the staff, and the administration cannot initiate that process. I believe that we can.
Okay.
We just have to have a very good reason and follow the process.
It's also my understanding that Mr. Lopez has identified some ranchers that would be pretty excited to get their roads off the county maps.
They've discussed it. I think, once the process initiates, and I guess, that would generate us finding out who else along the road is in agreement or in opposition, or exactly what the feelings of the people in the area are. That's the main thing.
A good example of that, Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
a good example of that would be, I have one example of abandonment. I don't know if you're familiar with that case in Chapelito where the landowner took over everything, including the ghost town and the cemeteries and everything. And at first, they will allow people to go to the cemetery and visit their loved ones. But during the years, the place changed hands, and they started closing it even for people that wanted to go visit their loved ones. So, yeah, you gotta be very careful what you do and what you wish for, because it come back to haunt you, if not by the public, like you were saying a while ago. There might be another reason behind everything else, and those are the reasons, and a good example is that. Because people did complain to me at one point that they couldn't get in because it was taken over or abandoned, and they couldn't get in, so we gotta be careful with those.
Mr. Chair, I have,
Yes, Commissioner Rodriguez.
I have another, one thing to add to that, and I've heard I've got a call where they wanted the county to go in and work on a road, Upper Colonias, and there was a gate on it. And he said, well, if there's a gate on it, then can't be a county road. So maybe it hasn't been through the process of abandonment yet, but by the process of them putting a lock on it, does that qualify it up? Does it take it off of the county road register, or they still have to go through the process?
No, the process has to be formal. And if someone has placed a lock unlawfully, then that's when county should get involved and with probably with law enforcement and remove the lock.
Yeah, and that a follow-up question to that, what about if the landowners aren't in agreement? One person wants to keep it locked and turn it into a private road, and the other person wants it private. How does the county deal with that kind of a conflict?
I believe that the process would involve a public hearing at a formal commission meeting, and you hear both sides, and then it's up to you all to vote and make that
Then the
decision.
commissioners would decide in the end?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Anything else? Okay, Mr. Lopez.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Good afternoon. I'm here today with our monthly report for December. We had Peter Vigil's been mostly in the Pecos area, upper and lower Colonias, and we addressed Cow Creek also. This is maintenance on these county roads and around Pecos area as well. We've been in Illfield area also, in the Pecos Retreat area. We did all the roads in there, over into San Juan. He is currently back in Illfield today because we had some material available, replacing materials on that road. And then Johnny Trujillo, on the other motor grader operator, We kept him about pretty close to a month in the Mez Road area. You know, that's a long road. It's 35 miles of roadway. We had a lot of bad spots that we addressed. We hauled a lot of material in there, addressed all the bad issues on that road. And then we moved him back into town. He's in the Las Vegas area working Pork Chop Hill Road. We put some extra materials again. These roads are improved roads, but like, you know, to keep these roads up in perfect standards, we do go in periodically and add additional materials as needed. We did also on the White Barn Road on C-23. And I got him over in, headed down to Lourdes and San Agustin, portion of that road that didn't get addressed with the project within that roadway. And we're adding materials there also on bad spots. And pothole repair is ongoing today in the Gallinas area. We had a project that was supposed to be scheduled for addressing that repair needed on that road. We were not able to use a state contract agreement, so we're going to have to go out for rebid on that project. But we are addressing those potholes, you know, temporarily. The bad ones that are creating problems or issues within the driving lanes, and there's a lot of shoulder work and alligatoring that'll be addressed later on once that project lets back out and we have a contractor on board for that.
Thank you.
That pretty much covers it.
And thank you guys. I've gotten calls about it's so nice to get a call saying they did a great job and thank you, you know, instead of the complaints. So thank you so much for doing a great job and having a grader operator out there where we need them. Thank you again.
You're welcome.
You guys did a great job.
Anybody else? Commissioners? I had a concern about the completed project on C-24, Lourdes, I believe. Lourdes was concluded about the work that was actually done, and not satisfied with the work that was done. So sometime next week, I'm going with the residents there to look at it, and I'll let you know what his complaints are.
Yeah, if it's the same resident, we did discuss with the resident that also had some concerns, and his concern was he expected the whole road to get done.
Oh, yeah.
But unfortunately, due to
I
funding.
think he was complaining about the actual work that was done, not the work that needs to be done.
Yeah, why don't you get with them, let us know.
All right, yeah, I'll let you know. Anything else? Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Item number 15, recommendation to approve the revised job description, San Miguel County Fire Marshal's Office. Mr. Dio.
Congratulations, Chairman Nahad and Vice Chairwoman Varela, Commissioners, Manager Martinez. So I am presenting the job description for San Miguel County Fire Marshal. We did some minor revisions to this job description, specifically to indicate that this position would be reporting directly to the county manager, whereas a few years prior it was under Office of Emergency Management. So we just needed to make that minor correction. We also thought it appropriate that the job title be Fire Marshal in order to distinguish between the volunteer fire chiefs. So I'm requesting your approval of those changes to this job description.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner.
I thought we had moved it at the beginning of the year when we restructured the county from, at the beginning of this commission's year, to report directly to the manager. I thought we had already done that.
It was part of the organizational chart that was approved last February, I believe.
Okay.
And the only problem is that the job description was never updated to reflect that approval.
Thank you so much.
So we're just catching up.
All right.
The recommendation to approve the revised job description to San Miguel County Fire Marshal. Motion by Mr. Martinez, second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Varela. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Item number 16, personnel actions or changes for the month of December 2017.
So in your packets, you will have your, the personnel actions and changes for the month of December 2017. As you could tell, we were really busy in human resource. So I am requesting approval and ratification of the personnel actions or changes that have taken place during the month of December 2017.
Motion to approve and ratify personal actions or changes taking place during the month of December.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Olivari, second.
Second?
Second by Commissioner Varela, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Item number 17, recommendation to approve independent contract agreement with White Sands Drug and Alcohol Compliance through the year 2018. Ms. Cedillo.
And lastly, we yearly we look at this contract with White Sands Drug and Alcohol Compliance. They write our policy for our drug testing, and this year, as a part of the changes, DOT has decided to add the screening of additional drugs. I mean, in light of the opioid epidemic, so they're adding hydrocodone, hydromorphine, oxymorphone, oxycodone to the drug testing panel. So we are revising our contract with them. I believe their prices increased slightly. I want to say like $5 per test. Since this contract is under the $60,000, last year we went out to request quotes from other providers. And so I'm requesting the renewal of this contract with the understanding that in December of this year, we will go back to ask for quotes again for this service.
Recommendation, motion to recommend, oh, I'm sorry, the questions?
I have a question, yeah. What is a normal test for an individual that goes in to get drug tested? What is the county paying for that?
The county's paying $65 a test.
Okay, and have we looked locally for anybody that could do the drug testing here in our community?
Yes, I did reach out to, when I submitted the request for quotes last December, I reached out to, gosh, I want to say Somos Familia.
Okay.
Locally.
And they will do the, because I know that they're cheaper than $60. Because I work for the schools too, and I just did our staff, and I paid $40 per staff member. And they did a 10 panel on them, which did the opiates and all that. So you might want to look into that. That way, if we can keep the money here locally, we keep it here locally.
I think within their response, they were not able to provide us with the compliance, but that'll be part of the review that I conduct again in December.
Okay.
Because they do, like I said, they do write our policy. It's quite lengthy. It's probably about this big. And they will also do, in the event that we're audited, they will also respond to the auditors.
All right. Motion to approve White Sands
So moved.
Drug and Alcohol Compliance as a provider. Motion by Commissioner Martinez, second by Commissioner Olivari. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carried. Item number 18, board transfers for the month of December. Ms. Bustamante?
Congratulations, Mr. Nahara, Ms. Varela.
Thank you.
First of all, I'm going to do our payroll transfers that we had for December. On December the 7th, we had $243,123.47 to payroll, $55,886.42 from detention centers, $187,237.05 from general fund. On December the 21st, we had a total of $244,144.04, $55,057.29 from detention center, $189,086.75 from general fund. Those are for payroll. On December the 1st, we had a wire transfer to Bernalillo County, and that was for $45,718. We also had on December the 28th, back to Bernalillo County, $46,383. But the one for December the 28th was actually for January. Because of the holidays, we had to do it earlier. And then we had internal transfer of $225,000 from general fund reserve to detention center. That was done December the 18th. And then we had another internal transfer from general fund to fire funds, $328,998. I also had another transfer, let me see. And that was $75,000 to Chase Manhattan, and that was an outgoing wire transfer, and that was on our bond that we have for $4 million. That was done on the 1st also, correct? Yes. Those are all the transfers I have for December.
Thank you, Mr. Fuentes. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Item number 19, accounts payable report for period of November 29th through December 27, 2017.
Right, congratulations, Chairman Nahar and Vice Chair Varela, and thank you, Chairman Udabari and Art Padilla. And you too, Maria Martinez.
You're welcome.
The first item is accounts payable report for the period of November 28th through December 27th, and I also included the November 2017 housing payment register that was processed on behalf of San Miguel County by Bernalillo County.
For information over, we're doing item number 20.
This one requires
That's action.
approval.
Yeah.
We need
Move to
motion.
approve.
Motion to approve. Okay, motion to approve.
Second.
The report from Melinda Gonzalez, second, approved by, motion carried by, made by Commissioner Olivari, second by Commissioner Padilla. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Item number 20, journal entry for month of November 2017.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, there is a report that was run for the month of November that documents all the journal entries posted to our system within that particular month.
For informational purposes only. Item 21, cash balance report.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, this particular report shows you the account balances as of October 31st, 2017. At this point in time, these reflect the reconciled cash balances.
Item number 22, receipt report for month of November 2017.
And Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, this report is also run off of our system for all the receipts that were processed during the month of November. And they're processed out of our treasurer's office and out of solid waste billing, which is now part of our treasurer's office.
Informational purposes only. Okay, that concludes the agenda today. Dr. Martinez, executive session, any need to go into executive session today?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, at this time I'm requesting that we go into executive closed session under A, limited personnel matters as permitted by NMSA 1978, section 10-15-1 as amended of the Open Meetings Act, more specifically personnel matters regarding specific county departments, fire division, sheriff's office, and detention center, AFSCME members. Also attorney-client privilege pertaining to threatened or pending litigation as permitted by New Mexico SA 1978, section 10-15-1 as amended of the Open Meetings Act. more specifically, Economic Development Corporation, Tenorio versus San Miguel County, and water rights litigation with the New Mexico State Engineer.
Motion to go into executive session. Moved by Commissioner Olivares, second.
Thank you.
Second. Commissioner Martinez. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Do we need roll call vote?
Supposed to do roll call vote for executive session.
Mr. Chairman, are we doing a roll call for executive session?
When we come back, you know.
No, because there's nobody here.
Roll call. Roll call.
Mr. Chairman, the optic would like me to hand you the gavel one more time.
Okay.
One more, the roll call.
Okay. Déjame lamberme.
Commissioner Maria Martinez,
Yes. Present.
Commissioner Arthur Padilla,
Yes.
Vice Chair Janice Varela,
Yes.
and Commissioner, no, Chairman Chris Nahat.
Here, yes.
You don't want to call me to vote?